Hello there, my name is Simon from CramTheExam. Welcome to another walkthrough video where I walk you through the answers for another English exam question. In this video I'm going to have a look at the FCE first, Use of English Part 7 reading question. This question I've taken from examenglish.com. If you haven't checked out examenglish.com, please make sure you do so. Plenty of fantastic exam resources, not just for the FCE, but for the CAE and other English exams as well. Now, the Use of English Part 7 question is quite a difficult question. Lots of information to deal with. What I would do is this. Read through the 4 texts first. There are 4 texts in this example, but sometimes there's more. Sometimes this is the minimum. There's the minimum of 4, but you might have 5, 6 or even 7 mini texts. Read through the text and see if you can summarize the idea of the text in one sentence or in a few words. That way, when you have a look at the questions, those texts are fresh in your mind and you can see the differences between those texts. So over my shoulder you can see the answers, so let's find out why the answers are the answers. Which person read a book which was set in an Oriental country? Straight away your mind should be drawn to C, where anything to do with Oriental, as far as from a Western world perspective, as I am in Europe, or even if you might be in America, Oriental is very, very synonymous with things from the East, or far away, or Far East, or something like that. And we can see that those vocabulary links here. Eastern culture, we're a faraway place. We've got here more complicated aspects of the country's history, etiquette, sorry. So this is all rather suggests that this is not Western world, but this is rather what we would consider to be Eastern or Oriental world. And these provide the vocabulary links to give us the answer to question number 1. For question number 2, once again, C. Which book was finished in an unrealistic way? Here we have to look for the vocabulary links that suggest that something is unrealistic. And we can see that here. A story which involves so much turmoil in a place where the future is uncertain should not have a happy ever after fairy tale ending. So what Imogen is saying here is that this is unrealistic. Now, there's problems. This is what turmoil means. Lots of problems, deep, dark problems. And at the end is wonderful, happy ever after. Something's not right there. Something's unrealistic. And that's our vocabulary link to give us the answer for question number 2. For question number 3, which person read a book which had characters that the reader could sympathise with? To sympathise, and the answer is B. So let's see if we can hunt out that those vocabulary links to being able to sympathise with people. And we can see this, where was it now? She talks about empathy. Here it is. I really felt empathy towards the characters, although I was sometimes irritated by the choices they made. The key bit here, feeling empathy towards someone, is very, very similar to having being able to sympathise with them. And of course we've got this link here with characters, which is mentioned in that text as well. So here the answer is B. Which person read a book which is well known and was written a long time ago? This is Hannah. It's a classic. If a book is a classic, then it's a book which was generally written a long time ago. And indeed, the whole context of Hannah's criticism, really, is that this was an old book that people think a certain way about. But the key vocabulary here is, there's a few pieces of vocabulary. I know it's a classic, point number 1. I don't know why the literary world sees this book as such as a masterpiece. Masterpieces, classics, suggesting that this book is rather old. And that's why the answer is D for number 4. For question number 5, which person read a book which contains 2 stories? This was Liz. And we can see this here. On the first part of the answer, well, most of the answer, she talks about one part, and then she says, however, the parallel story, I'll highlight it here, The part that is set in the present is not quite so good. So there was a bit that was set in the past and a bit which is set in the present. So this gives us our two stories, and that's why the answer is B. For question number 6, which person read a book which was not set in the past? And this was Kerry. So let's see if we can find that vocab which suggests that it is a modern contemporary book. Well, a key piece of language that might indicate that this is a modern contemporary book is this sentence here. Although this book is meant to be about kids at high school, and high school, I guess, is what we might consider a modern day or a contemporary idea. I guess the other reason why this is going to be the answer is by process of elimination. If we go through the other answers, we've got B, which talks about 1940s Paris. Clearly, this is set in the past. We've got this story about Eastern culture. The inference is that this is set in the past as well. Here we go. In a distant time and faraway place. So this is set in the past. And then, of course, we know from the previous answer that this is a classic and it's a masterpiece. So by process of elimination and that piece of vocabulary here meant to be about kids at high school, this is the reason why the answer for 6 is A. For question 7, which person read a book which was historically accurate? This was B. So let's find out the reasons, the vocabulary links for historical accuracy. And we can see here. Hang on a second. It's incredibly well researched, and although it is fiction, it is based on shocking real life events. She goes so far as to say, I learned an awful lot about things that went on that I never knew before. So the idea here is that this is, although it's a fiction, it's based on real life events. And from that point of view, it gives us our vocabulary link to say that it's historically accurate, I guess we could say, to some extent. And that's why the reason is B. For question number 8, which person read a book which made the reader cry? We'll stay with Liz. And it says here, I was close to tears on several occasions. So if you're close to tears, it means that you're on the verge of crying. You're just about to start weeping. And that's close enough vocabulary link to give us our answer for question number 8. Which person read a book which contained insignificant details? This was A, Kerry. Kerry, plenty of criticism about her book. And we can find our vocabulary link here. The author went out of her way to add lots of details about the characters, but I found these details really pointless. I thought these details would become significant in some way later in the novel, but they didn't. They were just worthless bits of information. Plenty of vocabulary links to suggest insignificant, in other words, unimportant details. For question number 10, the last question, which person read a book which had a well-known scene? It's D, it's Hannah. And we can, let's see if we can find this vocabulary that suggests a well-known scene. And we can see it here, we can see the vocabulary link here. The famous scene set out on the moors was definitely the best bit of the book. The famous scene set out on the moors. So this famous scene, if something is famous, by definition it must be well known, otherwise it wouldn't be famous, and that gives us our vocabulary link to tell us that D is the answer to question number 10. And there we go. That's why the answers are the answers. If you would like me to explain one of the answers in a little bit more detail, or you didn't follow what I was saying exactly, or you think I was wrong, please leave a comment in the comments below the video, and I will get back to you. I love having the conversation with people who think differently to me. Please remember to check out all of my other videos which will help you get ready for your FCE and in the future CAE exams as well. And if you're studying for the FCE using one of the more popular course books on the market, check out my website CramTheExam.com, where I might be able to help you out a little bit with your exam preparation. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon.